Hello, this is Dia Damson, and today I am going to do another Monet, and I will explain to you what I'm doing step by step, so hopefully that will be very helpful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. The first thing I am going to do is do a super simple sketch. So I have a little area where the cliff is, those rocks. One is the shape of almost like a triangle, and the other one is like a rectangle with a flat bottom, one angled side, kind of like a 45 degrees, and wiggly top. So pretty much that's it. And then we have a hole there, which is an oval shape. So everything is very simple. We have sun, that it's a tiny little circle, and our horizon line is underneath the sun, but we want to put it a little bit kind of higher than where the rocks are, so it looks like much further away. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply my base, and my base usually is much lighter than where it will end a little bit later. So I am going to apply the lightest color that I have or I have to use, and that is yellow. So we are applying in two different ways. For the water part, it's little tiny brush strokes and they're horizontal. For the sky, I am pretty much running the whole brush down left and right and kind of smudging and moving it around. So there's areas with a little bit more paint, deeper hue, and there's areas that have less paint, lighter, or not a strong hue, very watered down. You can do wet on wet. The reason why I'm not doing wet on wet, this canvas is only 5 by 7, so it's very tiny, and I want a little bit more control over my brush strokes, so I'm not doing wet on wet. It's dry on wet, or dry surface and a wet brush. And pretty much that's what I'm gonna do. So the next color was very transparent orange, and actually this is the cadmium red, which is an orange red mixed with a little bit of a cadmium yellow, which is pretty much looks like an orange color. So you can use yellow and orange, or yellow and red, and just make a very, very light orange color, and use a little bit of water to make it more transparent. So I'm gonna leave that area to dry, and I'm going to move to the rocks, cliff, whatever that is. It is a cliff, and I am going to mix two colors, red and blue. So sometimes I'll have more red in it, sometimes I'll have more blue in it, and also from time to time I'm adding a little bit of black. The most important part is, since we are doing a Monet, we want to apply a lot of brush strokes, a lot of lifts and drops. So every time you drop the brush down, you deposit more paint. If you pull the brush, drop and pull, the paint is going to spread. But if you're dropping and lifting, you're actually applying darker hue. And you're gonna see in a little bit how that looks. Every time I pull the brush a little bit, it's a lighter color. But if I just drop and lift, it's a little bit darker. So drop and lift, and just fill in the area with variations of the color you created. You can always add a little bit of brown and black, brown and blue mixture, and make it more interesting. So the more colors you add, the more, I guess, depth and interest you are going to add to your painting. So experiment, have fun with it. Sometimes it's just good to observe, because the brush strokes are repetitive, but every time you kind of observe, you can see what exactly I'm doing here. So this area has to be much darker. Now I'm going with much lighter hue for the water, and again I'm doing very tiny brush strokes using only the tip of my brush, and my brush is a number 6. I'll be using the same brush from beginning to the end, and I'm doing different variations of hues of that darker bluish purple color. Same thing for the sky around the sun, but you see the transparency is so much higher, so less color. And if you by accident apply a little bit more color than you want, wash your brush and then go back to that area and kind of scoop that color, wash your brush again and scoop it again. And then you can clean an area. And for the water, just don't forget to create that depth, smaller brush strokes far away and a little bit larger brush strokes coming closer to the bottom of the canvas. Sometimes, just like now, I'm gonna run just wet brush and kind of smudge the edges of certain area. I'm adding a super transparent blue color here, almost invisible. So I'm filling in those white areas with super transparent color. Changing the blue a little bit. A little bit of green. You can skip that or add it. It does have a little bit of green in the painting, the original painting. But you can be on Monet, so you can do as much or as little as you want to. So I'm gonna deepen the hue of that orange. And also now that's a wet, just clean wet brush. I'm going around and kind of activated the edges of those colors. Now it is super transparent blue. So I waited for the sky to be dry because I did not want that blue to be mixing too much with the yellow because it will be creating a green. And we don't want that. Now, when you're painting this with acrylics, you don't have to worry as much because you can pile paint on a canvas. While with our watercolor, we have to be a little bit more careful. The more brush strokes you have, the better. So that is a wet, clean brush, just running it around and kind of stealing a little bit of a color from the surrounding area and filling in those white spots. And just spreading that color slightly to the next color. Deepening the hue even a little bit more of that orange. So we have tons of variations of each color. Our little sun is just red. On the same red, we're going to add a little bit of the pat on the water, a reflection, tiny little brush strokes. So what I'm doing right now is clean wet brush. I'm going around and softening edges or merging a few colors together that are neighbors. Stealing a little bit of color from the rocks and then putting it into the water. So we're gonna get a little darker. So we need more variations of colors on this black spot there, purplish bluish spot. So I got a little bit of black and blue together. And I'm creating more depth by adding deeper shadow. Because this area is in the shadow. But because it's an uneven area, we can have much deeper shadow. Any white space that I have, I'm going to fill in with a transparent paint. You can choose either blue or yellow, whatever you decide. You can make your water more golden. So this is the part where it's playtime. We are just cleaning up, adding a few more details. So I am going to play with the sky a little bit more. So I'm going to add a few more colors. Maybe more of the orange and more of the blue just to make it a little stronger, because right now it's very weak. So we want it to stand out as much as the water. So we're going to even it out a little bit. So I'm just making it wet because I want my color that I'm adding on the dry area, when it gets to that wet area, to kind of soften the edge that way. So it doesn't stop completely because the surface is dry, but I'm creating a wet edge. And the color will burst into that slightly damp area and create more of a cloud look. Here, let's take a little bit away, so tiny bit away. But pretty much that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell. And if you're on Rumble, please don't forget to rumble. Happy painting. I'll see you soon. Bye.